You know, we know how to play together. When the going gets tough, we're going to be there for one another, and that's the most important thing for us.
Awesome. Good luck, Coach.
All right, and now the lineups are getting underway. We're going to see, for the side of Team Freedom, some new faces for the weekend, but definitely not new to the team. Jake Modesto, and then we're also going to have a return of a face that online you've probably seen. That's Michael Hoyt. He is also known as Zebra, or the big bounce man himself. Definitely excited to see him return to Team Freedom here. They're going to have number 16. That's John Lutz on the right side, and Ryan Kenny is going to be steering the ship here as the setters for Team Freedom. On the side of the Chicago Untouchables, we're going to see Tom Burrell in the middle. Opposite of him is going to be number 16. That's Paul Bolanzik. And then we're going to have on the, let's see, here in the libero, it's going to be the same libero we saw yesterday. That's number 3. That's Juan Rosa Melendez. And we're also going to see on the pins, David Holliday returning on the right side. And then outsides, that's going to be number 15, Nick Ramos, as well as number 13, who is William Ragland. So this is going to be pretty much the exact same lineup we saw yesterday, with a small adjustment on the middles, with Matt Buffum not starting today. So we expect a great match here as Freedom takes on Chicago Touchables. Hope you guys enjoy it, and stay tuned for a great set of volleyball. And as I'm taking some notes here, the only lineup change I'm actually seeing is going to be on the setters. The last one I didn't say was Moises Lopez. So he's going to be replacing player coach Mitch Wiskershin. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of offensive adjustments we see here as well. Ryan Kenny on the side of Team Freedom was formerly of the Tennessee Tyrants. So this is a nice little nod. He's got some old teammates back from November across the net, and Tom Burrell, as well as Ryan Alou, the libero, currently on the bench, injured and unable to play. Also Matt Buffum. So great to see all these East Coast, Midwest kind of guys. There's a lot of camaraderie there, as we heard prior to the game with Victoria and Coach Justin Beaumont. So it'll be these are always the fun kind of quote-unquote friendlies. Definitely no one out here trying to
You're totally right, Nick. You know, it's like guys are all familiar with each other. They've played together before. They've been in, in tournaments against one another before, and we're just kind of getting some final lineup changes here with the official stat sheets before we kind of get started. So
yeah, here I was just mentioning we'll see you in 30, and I did the miscount in my head, and it wasn't a 2:30 match. We're live at 2, so everyone's doing a quick turnaround here and getting right back on top of it to bring you guys another exciting match here. In terms of things to expect, we're kind of still waiting to see, not waiting, but Chicago Untouchables are going to be showing us really what we can expect from this team as one of the new additions to the league here in 2021 alongside the Dallas Tornadoes. And on the side of Team Freedom, couple of adjustments we've seen. Obviously, they've gotten Joe Norman, was a huge pickup, grabbing him from Southern Exposure. He's currently on the bench, played yesterday, had a great match. But they're going to go ahead and give John Lutz the nod here. I haven't had the chance to see Lutz in action yet, so I'm excited for that one. And as always, Chris Nugent is a very familiar name on this Team Freedom roster that's going to be looking to do some damage, a very explosive outside. So keep an eye on him for sure, number 10.
I'm excited for this match, Nick. I think these two teams, they look very even on paper. Standing around, getting ready for this match, you can see that they're all pretty equal in height. You don't have any giants. I mean, you do for Team Freedom. You've got, Joe Norman, like you said, he's 6'10", 6'11". He's a big dude, but he's not in right now. So this is going to be the Untouchables have got looks like another almost 7-footer over there in number 16.
Well, yeah, and we're going to see Paul Balanza come in later on. So, yeah, he is a 7-footer. There's the big 7. Glad he was able to make it on the airplane over here.
That would be a tough flight. I can't imagine being 7 feet tall on a plane. Unless you're sitting in first class, but
that's a tough one. Not sure what's getting sorted out here at the moment. We're waiting for that, but not a problem. the rest of the day. So this is going to be the match that marks the halfway point. We're going to have matches here at 4:30 and 7 o'clock afterwards. So worry not, there is plenty more volleyball heading your way. Glad to see, you're on the desk today. We're at full firepower. And for anyone that doesn't know, Victoria Dennis is new to our team this year. We're thankful to have her involved. She played D1 at UC Irvine, was an outside hitter, spent a season playing overseas, and she currently plays AVP as well. So much like yourself, a lot of D1 experience, got some international experience and some beach experience. So
yeah, well, it's helpful to have Victoria with us to get some insight from the coaching staffs and the timeouts and things, and do those courtside interviews while you and I are, sitting over here breaking down the games. And so it's an exciting time to be involved. It's an exciting thing to be a part of professional men's volleyball, in the United States, as the NVA is trying to really do something that nobody else has been able to do yet.
absolutely, and with that said, we want to say a huge thank you to Mikasa, the proud ball sponsor of the NVA, using these V200s all weekend. These balls are awesome. Glad to see the guys getting a hold of them, ripping some big serves. Also a huge thank you to the Pierce Sports Center out here in San Bernardino, California, hosting us all weekend long, taking care of us and making sure that the players are all safe. Great facility so far.
This is a perfect volleyball facility. Got a great court. We've got plenty of space for pursuits, for long jump serve approaches. There's plenty of sideline space for our booth and for the referees and all the official scorekeepers and production and everything. Just a top-notch facility for us to be involved in.
Yeah, it's definitely a warranted and welcome upgrade. Utah was a fantastic spot, but a lot of the guys were kind of running into some shortage on the serving space.
Yeah.
So that has been removed.
And the snow. And the snow.
So we're about to get here underway, and that's going to be a first serve from Moises Lopez, number 2 for the Chicago Untouchables. Hand pass by Nugent tight, but that's Zebra going over the top. First swing, and welcome to the NVA. Big point for him. Tight pass, but that's going to be handled very well from Ryan Kenny.
For those of you that don't know or have never seen number 11 in white, that's Mikhail Hoyt. He's from Trinidad, representing the Caribbean for us right now.
Yep. Set outside. That's lefty. That's Holiday in the one rotation. He gets to hit as an outside. Now, he was a little bit underrepresented in some points yesterday. They were trying to find an effective way to utilize him. We saw both both Ragland and Ramos doing a lot of the heavy lifting for Chicago Untouchables. So we'll see what kind of offense we can expect to see here today.
Yeah, these teams might be a little flat right now because we just had about like a 6-7 minute kind of technical, snafu that we were working through. So they had a little bit of an abbreviated warm-up because that previous match went into overtime a little bit. So curious to see how these two teams start this match off.
Absolutely. Josh Castillo throws it over the top. That's a dig by Ramos. Bump set to the backside, and Holiday's going to take a swing. That's going to go straight back down, and that's going to be Hoyt and Josh Castillo making it count for him. And that's going to be Glenn Megales on Team Freedom, wearing blue today. Small adjustment from what I believe from what they were using yesterday. More than capable. Yeah, yesterday they were using John Cunningham.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be Bolonzik coming in. You see the 7-footer in action for the first time right now.
That's number 16 in the light blue jersey, right?
Yep. Oh, sorry, yeah. Outside to Josh Castillo, finds that sharp angle. Tom Burrell gets a pretty decent first touch, but not quite able to be picked up there by Ramos. And that's going to bring Jake Modesto onto the court here. I'll be curious to see what kind of serve Hoyt is hitting. Looks like it's going to be a float. Goes short. And that's going to force the overpass from Modesto. That was a nice little float serve. Got some, got some movement force there from the Untouchables, and that's going to bring their libero, number 3, up a little bit shorter than he was expecting. Melendez having to move quite a bit.
Yeah, Hoyt, no one's really seen him play very much. They don't quite know what to expect on his service game, and got these guys on their heels a little bit.
That time he goes short, once again able to pick on Ramos this time. One-handed set does not quite connect, going back for Moises, and that's gonna net another point for Team Freedom.
Jumping out to an early 4-point lead here, 6-2.
Good pass, and that's going to go right back to the middle. Zebra making a good diving move to the left, and that's a nice connection with the middle there for Bolonzik.
He's a big boy right there. I would expect him to get a lot of sets, but first of all, you got to get that pass up to the net, right? If you can't pass the ball into the 10-foot line, they're going to have a hard time setting quick, because I'm guessing that the connection between the two of them isn't quite established just yet.
Sure, we'll have to keep an eye for that on most definitely, and that's going to be Raglan going up and putting that ball down with authority. A nice overpass forced there on the serve. Holiday looking to make a run, get off the ground early here. Go short to Castillo. Back set once again, and that's Lutz getting a recycled set. Kenny's going to go outside now to Castillo. Castillo uses that high hand outside, tools wide. Now we're going to see Lutz with a jump serve. Goes in, and Raglan gets a nice pass in system, goes to the outside, and off the left hand there of Ryan Kenny. That's going to be tooled and used. Once again, we're seeing the outsides on the Chicago Untouchables going to work.
You know, Nick, when the pass isn't really there, they have to go outside a lot. You know, they've got a 7-foot middle, but he's only gotten one set so far, right? But they're chipping away here. They're back to within 2. It's still really early on in this match, and so, you know, look for them to kind of get a better understanding of what the serve pressure looks like from Team Freedom and how they're going to pass.
Yep, and that's going to be bringing us to our first technical timeout here. And like we said, you know, it's a little bit of a different change of pace to go from that set 4 where we were just in with the stunners and the tyrants, so dialed in. The game had evolved so far along the path, and then that little bit of a quick turnover, a little bit of a technical lull, but we're back into it. Both these teams are going to be finding their energy and picking things up. They're both very loud teams traditionally, so.
Yeah, sort of that part of the match, right, where they're starting to try to figure each other out. Yeah. You know, I mean, and you don't really know what you're going to get from one side or the other in terms of serve, pass, offensive, you know, attack lines, who's going to do what. So this is a good technical timeout for both teams to sort of regroup, get a better understanding of kind of what to expect, who's doing what from a coach's perspective, and what they need to do in order to maybe take another little you know, multiple point run and kind of create some momentum.
Certainly, and I think one of the interesting things for these players is learning about and how to use the pacing of the technical timeouts if they haven't had it before. As a college club player myself, I never really experienced technical timeouts, so learning now as I've kind of stepped in some of those coaching roles and how to help the team, the way you utilize technical timeouts that you know are happening at the first team to 8 and the first team to 16 is definitely something to keep an eye on. Yep. And we'll see how teams used it here. Yeah,
it's a free timeout, obviously, and you as a coach, you've got 2 extra timeouts to use at your own discretion as well. So
big serve there from Castillo, and Chicago not quite able to control that one, and we're going to see that's going to be Ramos going into the net, trying to get some kind of touch to slow that down, but not quite able to find it. Castillo now going back and hits that big serve. Once again, Melendez overpasses, and that's going to be a net from the setter, Moises Lopez there.
The Untouchables just need to be able to control their bodies a little bit right now. They might be trying to overdo it just a touch, make these big kind of flashy plays, put up a good passable ball, settable pass, earn the side out the right way, and don't start to overthink it too much.
Absolutely. Melendez is able to find that one. Set goes on outside to Ramos. One-handed dig there for Freedom. Ramos swings again, recycled. This time we're looking for the big route to Raglan. That goes off the side of Ramos as he's not quite able to come up with it. Now, one thing that I have talked with the Team Freedom guys about before, I've always found it interesting that Josh Castillo serves out of the middle of the court. Because what I think about that's interesting is it allows less room for missing. But one thing they talk about that Josh really likes is it actually speeds up the rate at which he gets to any seam that he targets. So that serve coming quite quick. And we saw that he earned a real three-point run there, and it worked quite well for him.
Yeah, and he was one of their stronger servers when we were in Salt Lake City back in November. I remember him serving up there, and we were talking a little bit about elevation and how it may affect the serve, but I can distinctly remember him going on multiple service runs when we were in Salt Lake City for Team Freedom.
Absolutely, and there's Balans that goes with a deep float. Lets the big swing, looking for a touch, but none called, and that's going to be a point for the Chicago Untouchables as they earn a real one there. Putting Balanzik on the back line there once again. I would love to see what kind of aggressive serve a 7-footer can put down. That high point of contact is a rare one to see. Goes short here. Nice pass by Castillo. Set outside to Nugent. Wow, Nugent doing a great job as he goes for that swing. Drops that left shoulder, turns his swing, attacks that line hand there off the block and gets the tool.
Yeah, and to go back to your previous point about that serve, that was a little bit of a lollipop, a little short, and Team Freedom handled it really well. Ran a nice offense there for the side out.
Modesto now hitting his jump serve. Good pass from Ramos. Now we see the quick set to the outside. Great job by Tom Burrell to pull Hoyt and leave a one-on-one option on the outside for Ramos there.
A nice attack by Ramos. He kind of needed to redeem himself after not covering one of his teammates. Look for him to do some damage here throughout this match as well as the starting, outside hitter.
Another good hand pass there from Freedom. Goes back to Let's for that D-ball. You talk about redemption. Let's gets his there. Goes for that D-ball swing and able to find a point with that one.
Just a little communication there on the defensive stances for Melendez and Ragland on who needs to be where in regards to the seams.
Kenny targeting Ramos's hands. Another set there to Tom Burrell. Tom running that push, or I guess that was a 3 more likely, but attacks back and able to find the court.
And not the cleanest kill out there. It wasn't the prettiest, but effective nonetheless.
And if you watch Tom Burrell for more than a couple points, you'll see that the guy's got a wide range that he uses to hit from. So definitely look to see him get involved more offensively here as Ramos misses long out the back of the court. Chris Nugent now. Big jump serve, and that's the ace off of the platform of Ragland. And I think the serving celebration from Matt Seifert on point as always. Nugent with a big second attempt, not quite able to make it work for him there. I'm traditionally so bad, I always mess up Matt's last name, and it's Seifert. I had to go check my notes with manager Ron Dunn for them, let me know last night. Let's with a huge, deep, high swing, and he absolutely flies.
He got behind that one. That was a full head of steam coming through there, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Now we're heading into a technical timeout. Victoria, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Nick. The Untouchables really need to focus on their serve. They have to serve tough, as their head coach said, and limit their errors against Team Freedom. Team Freedom, on the other hand, they're looking to funnel this big middle the Untouchables has, number 16. They want to funnel him to their libero. So put up a good block against him and make sure that he swings at the libero. Nick?
Absolutely. It's a different conversation, right? When you've got a big middle, a physical middle. When I'm having that conversation at practice with my Ramblers guys about how do you slow down a Nick Amato or a Nick West, it's a very different conversation than how do you slow down the 7-footer Balanzik, because sometimes that's like, hey guys, how do you get hit over correctly?
Right, and it's about positioning on defense and where you stand and where you line up your defenders to predict where his tendencies will show that he's going to hit the ball too, right?
Yeah.
From a blocking standpoint, just be disciplined, get your hands up high, and hope for a deflection. The blind squirrel will find a nut every once in a while. You still might get a block, and then you celebrate it, but it's just about setup and how you kind of prepare for it.
Also, it highlights the importance of good serves to not give them the option. And so right now we're seeing Team Freedom, a team that is more than happy to have every guy go back and hitting jump serves.
Yeah,
it's working for them.
Yep.
Good float serve receive, goes back to Holiday. Ryan Kinney tries for an overhand dig below the waist there a bit and doesn't quite find it. And that's going to bring Holiday to the back row, and that's going to mean front row hands. So if your Team Freedom, quickly identify that you have a dump option front row that you've got to defend against. Nugent overpasses. Melendez with a good pass, goes to the Bick route now, and we see Ramos gets his swing, and that's going to go high off the hands of Magales for the side of Team Freedom.
A bit unorthodox for a Bick out of a transition play like that without really going to the front row players to establish them early on, but a nice play nonetheless. And
Holiday goes for that little hybrid two-hand float toss into a topspin swing. A couple players have been hitting it this weekend. It's notoriously a very difficult, high-risk, high-reward serve. We saw the risk there come into play as that serve goes long. And now John Lutz going for his big jump serve. Puts that one deep. Ragland airs it out high in the court, and he's the only set option. Roll shots keep it alive. Dug by Freedom, and he gets the set once again, but sails that one long. Lutz needs it a bit more in front of him. Make sure to let Kenny know it.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Lutz performs through this match. I've never seen him play before, but already you can kind of tell when it's in system and he stays behind the ball, obviously that's a good thing for him. If it's an out of system sort of set and he has to make some adjustments, he kind of loses that momentum that may kind of hinder his ability to make a good contact on it. Yeah,
absolutely. Dig by Ragland here as we get back into it. Now he goes for the over-the-shoulder chip. Now backside to Lutz. Once again, we're seeing a definite usage of Lutz, and that's going to be a potential double, but it slips through his hands, no call. And that's a nice dig to extend that rally there by Melendez, and definitely we're seeing a little affinity here and for Kenny to set back to Lutz. So they know early on that he's going to be one of their big offensive weapons.
Yeah, Lutz, you know, being one of the bigger guys on Team Freedom in terms of stature and physicality, okay? He's playing opposite, so he's going to expect to carry a lot of, you know, offensive load, as any opposite would expect to be in this league, right? So look for him to kind of get warmed up, get going. I think that slowdown in the beginning of the set kind of hurt him a little bit, but they've got a nice 5-point lead right now. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of translates throughout the match.
Yeah, and I think one of the quick things to take a step back also and talk about here is serving. It's one thing I've kind of seen as a pattern. It's so interesting to me that three teams stick out, that they almost have an identity. As when we looked at the Tyrants, they had almost no jump servers. They were all float servers. They had targets, and they stuck to that like a very well-oiled machine. Now we see back out here is Team Freedom, very similar to Southern Exposure, where the majority of the guys are hitting jump serves.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, right? That balance of risk versus reward from the serving inline game, or is it trying to find the right person to keep your serve on, and then pick out, you know, the seams and who the serving targets are, which we did see that from, you know, both teams earlier on today in our earlier matches.
Yeah, you've got then like the Stunners, for example, have a nice mix of float servers and jump servers. But that's a good timeout that we're going to see, and you can, if you can see Coach Mitch Wiskerchen on your screen there, jumping up and down, he knows he earned that one. That's a coach's point.
Yeah, coach's point for sure.
Bolonzik once again with that float. Kenny gets some good spacing created for Modesto. You know, that's one of the things we see from so many of these Freedom setters, whether it's Ron Dunn, Matt Elias, or Ryan Kinney. Their ability and comfort to set tight balls really makes sure that they're in system a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely right, Nick. Good observation by you.
Modesto chips that one over. Ragland picks it up. Set goes to the outside. Ramos goes high hands over the shoulder of Modesto.
I think you see a little bit of team development going on with the Untouchables as we're going through this match, and I didn't get a chance to see him play yesterday. You did, but it seems like they're still sort of early on in sort of their familiarity with one another, and maybe a little bit of where their positioning needs to be, or what their setting connection is as well.
A lot of overpasses going on here. Oh my, that's just a volleyball IQ play. A lot of 50-50 balls there, and as that one gets overpassed and overset by Magales, Ryan Kenny absolutely betters the ball, goes up, sets that off the outside hands of the Untouchables.
Yeah, he said enough patty cake. I'm just going to spin around, set this two-handed off your block, and then go back and serve.
Yep. And now we go back to Ramos. Oh, explosive swing. Opens with the set as it comes into his wheelhouse. Quick snap down the line. Not able to be dug there by Magalas.
Yeah, we're seeing Ramos get a lot of calls here on offense. And he's carrying a bit of the offensive load as well. For the
There's Zebra with that great spacing. You made a nod and a mention towards it last game. The importance of an established middle connection with your setter. So even though Ryan Kenny's coming off the net at 8-9 feet, he sees the hitting window for Hoyt, feeds that ball in there, gets a nice connection off the net. Nugent here with the jump. Ooh, great pass by Ramos, goes up to the middle, and Burrell, even though he gets a little bit on top of that, looks like he missed the connection a bit. We see him just finding ways to earn points. Quick rotation there for Chicago Untouchables as we see Balanza coming right back into the front row. Good pass outside of Castillo. Nice one-handed dig from Chicago Untouchables. Ragland takes an out-of-system swing, tries to find a high hand on that block, not able to do so. And that's going to be a 5-point lead here developing for Team Freedom in the first set.
Yeah, late in this first set, a 5-point cushion, 22 serving 17. Hoyt's got a tricky little jump float serve that he's developed pretty well.
And now he goes deep with it, takes it into the hands of Ragland, breaks the platform, but Ragland's able to better the ball. I believe that was a triple block. Couldn't see it from my angle.
It was, you're right, Nick. It was a triple block. So give kudos to Team Freedom for their blockers working hard to get 3 men in front of the hitter, but then they got to get their hands over the net to really penetrate and get that block.
Good job by Ragland to still make that point go his way. Now Holiday with the float serve, Josh Castillo with the pass. Big route over the top of Chris Nugent, but over the top, aided by an extra 6 inches as he steps over that white line. Still like to see that set coming out though. Establishing a big route is much like a middle. The more you can do it, the more you open up your pins.
Yeah, you're totally right, Nick. It's definitely a skill that needs to be developed by every team in this league because it's got to be relied upon heavily because it helps keep the blockers at home.
Yep.
A strong big attack is imperative to keep those blockers in and respecting their hitters, right?
Yep, and now we're going to see a timeout from the Chicago Untouchables as they are still down by 4 at 23-19. I think the whole point of this timeout is really to get those guys dialed in. Let's have a conversation how we make a late game push, start generating some energy, find some points that whether this one goes our way or not, we start to create some of that positive energy flow and momentum for this next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of momentum going into the next match, right? Not the next match, I'm sorry, the next set, right? This game is not out of reach by any means. It's only a 4-point game, and we've seen 4-point, deficits get turned around to win the set. So it's not out of question. But as we've said before, game of momentum, right?
Yeah.
Sense of urgency, all those things that really is going to create some fire on your side of the team to kind of propel you through the finish here.
Yeah, and there's so many times that when you're talking about the story of a volleyball game, it's really important to understand the impact of when sometimes you're playing for just 1 point or sometimes what your plan is over the next 10 or 15 points. And right now we're talking in-game strategy. So we'll see if Chicago Untouchables make any adjustments here. Big serve from Lutz, good pass from Ramos. They're in system, and Ragland gets a big swing that's covered out. He's gonna get a tight set here, but he's gonna have to wheel and deal. Goes off the hands of Kenny, covered by Nugent. Kept alive once again, and Modesto's gonna come through, miscommunication with Kenny. And that one is not able to go over, but every guy on Team Freedom selling out to get those 3 touches.
Yeah, the middle blocker in white, number 2, he just kind of got in the way there. Tried to make the hero play, and Kenny got in the way too, and we ran into each other.
Now Ragland goes back and crushes a nice serve, passed well by Nugent. Modesto cuts it back, dug by Holiday. Set goes outside to Ramos, chips over the top, and wow, we are seeing the outsides find that little crafty flair that makes them so effective on the side of the Untouchables. And an effective timeout, to say the least, start to close that up. Ramos wheeling and dealing, Ragland not afraid to keep taking some swings.
Yeah, and we said it earlier on, and we said that the game kind of started out flat. We had that little extended break and whatnot, and it looked like the hitters might have cooled off a little bit from their pregame warm-up. But Ramos specifically now has heated up at the end of the set, realized that the deficit was in the wrong direction, and now they've gotten those 2 quick points back.
Now I do want to throw a quick nod of appreciation over to Ragland. It's very hard as an outside hitter to sometimes have to better balls that are just very difficult, and frankly, you know, with the block in front of you or the pass that even you might have made, so you're in your own head, it's a tough spot to be in, but he is still battling. He is getting some big swings, taking aggressive approach lines, and it really is paying out for him to go back and hit those serves. He's made a nice little adjustment, dialed in, and he is showing a well-developed amount of mental fortitude. That was a little tongue twister. Tripped on that one a little bit. That's a missed serve, but I mean, that's going to happen. He's going for aggressive. If you're climbing out of a 4-point hole this late in the game, you've got to serve aggressive.
We have set point for Team Freedom, Nick.
Yep, there it is. Josh Castillo now with an opportunity to end this one with an aggressive serve. Gets a hold of it. Melendez with a great pass, goes to the 7-footer and finds him. Balanzic getting involved. Swings right back at there at libero. That's, I keep losing him on. There it is, Glenn Megales. Like we said, that's just one of those things where funneling doesn't always happen when you got a 7-footer. It's just,
right.
It's just a little bit of cover some court.
Bit of deflection, bit of heat. You know, didn't quite go back the way you wanted it to, but.
See if Josh Castillo gets served short again here. Not that time. Ryan Kenny saves it with a one-handed pass, and Jake Modesto doing the work that all middles should. Gets up and gives him that one-handed target, and Kenny repays the effort in kind.
Yeah, way to be up available. Kenny kind of went up with one hand. It was a tight pass. Obviously, kudos to the middle for being up early and expecting to get that set as he should.
You'll love to see that. That's a nice finish to the game. Team Freedom maintaining a nice little bit comfortable spacing in the score. Untouchables definitely making a move late, not rolling over. So be curious to see. And once again, I want to challenge the Untouchables. I want to see some more middle involvement. I don't want to just see perfect pass. You know, see if they can find ways to get a 3-ball or a gap or push one in some in transition there. See if they can use that. Also, want to see number 14, Holiday. I want to see him get involved out there.
Yeah, they got to find some kind of a fire. They got closer. They brought it back to within a few points late in that set, but they really got to have a stronger start if they want to keep it competitive all the way through. Because once you're playing from behind, I mean, you're just digging yourself into a deeper hole.
Yep. And
you're relying on some miracle plays or some Hail Marys, to come back and at least even tie it at the end of the set, let alone have an opportunity to win the set. So.
Well, it was a close game. We're far from done here. So we'll see if Chicago's Untouchables have a little bit of magic in the bag here to bring out.
Well, I still got some time. Hopefully, get a little bit more of a better strategy in place than what they used that time. But hopefully, it has something to do with we got to start better.
Yeah.
We got to serve a little bit tougher, and we got to start better. Right?
Yeah. Now, unrelated to volleyball a bit, I mentioned it yesterday, but if you're tuning in for the first time and haven't yet had a chance to experience Chicago Untouchables as one of our newest teams, do you know what their name is a reference to?
I don't. Nick, can you educate me, please?
Absolutely. So during the 1930s, from 1930 to 1932, Al Capone was in charge of a large moonshining operation during the Prohibition era. And so the Untouchables was a group that was put together to combat and try to fight that. And so that was the group of peoples that basically they removed as much red tape as they could to get in there and combat Al Capone. So this is a nod to a lot of that deep history in the Windy City out there in Chicago.
That's a very unique, way to come up with a name for a volleyball program. I like it. Yeah, Chicago does have a lot of history, especially around Prohibition and, guys like Al Capone. And it seems to me that there was a movie made about the same sort of thing.
It was, yeah.
And what was the name of that movie?
The Untouchables.
The Untouchables, right?
you got that one on the head.
But, yeah, good to see, a new team join the league. Obviously, it's exciting that, teams from all over the country jumping on board and putting together competitive teams and representing their city. Our last match, there was a good amount of people in the stands because we had basically Orange County, which is just, next door. And so, here this time, Chicago, I think somewhere in the Midwest with Team Freedom.
Team Freedom's Jersey.
East Coast team. So not a lot of fans in the stands right now for this match, but still some good level volleyball being played.
Also, I'll tell you, Team Freedom fans, I guarantee are online. They roll deep. They are well supported as an organization.
Good to know.
So
Good to know.
Yeah, those guys, you know, and that's what's so crazy is Team Freedom almost runs the entire Eastern Seaboard. They've got guys all the way down to Virginia, some guys in Florida. They've got the entire tri-state area, and that's why there's guys that are in Chicago that know them as well. They've been such an established name in men's adult volleyball that makes it so awesome here as we grow the NVA and have teams that are throughout the country. We see so many different regions well represented, and it's great to see the progression of volleyball, not bringing in the new biggest hired gun, but developing volleyball in those regions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ragland there with a good pass as we start the second set, and that's going to be Ramos going up, and he is not taking any points off. The outsides are really carrying the Untouchables workload right now. Great pass by Ragland, nice connection all the way on the outside to Ramos.
Yeah, nice response by Ramos to get us, the first point of the second set for the Untouchables.
High ball here's going to go back to the right side, and that's going to be a kill for the one rotation as outside Christopher Nugent hits that backside swing.
Nice high swing by Nugent. He's not the most intimidating structure, of a volleyball player. He looks like he may have just gotten out of the office, sort of, or kind of has like an accountant type of vibe. But good swing from the right side by Nugent. And now let's see what we can get from him from the inline here.
Let's put it this way. He certainly has a different body than Jake Modesto. That one's going to go long, though, as now we're going to see Ramos try and score a couple real ones for himself.
Yeah, I don't know if Nugent's ever lifted a weight.
You got to do a man like that. He's out here playing. He's killing the game.
Sorry.
All right, we see Modesto now rotating back in, and we're going to see Michael Hoyt. With all this going on, though, Victoria, dial us in. What do you got?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, coming into this set here, Team Freedom talked with their coach, Justin. They're doing a good job of getting touches on their block, so their defense needs to be ready to run down the ball. For the Untouchables, they are swinging high. As I just said, Freedom is getting touches on the block. They're going to need to continue to do that, swing away at this team and see if Team Freedom can outdig them. Nick?
Makes some sense, and we're seeing that effective middle swing there from Tom Burrell this previous point, and now we're seeing John Lutz taking his turn. He's really an aggressive right side, takes some big swings, and that's going to be a challenge to see if Untouchables are able to slow that down.
Yeah, the Untouchables block needs to get a little bit better discipline when it comes to blocking against Lutz. Lutz is getting some nice high swings behind it, and Untouchables are having a hard time controlling it.
But, I mean, you want to talk about a better way to control it, though. That is a perfect pass on a big serve from Ragland. A great connection in the middle as we see number 2 Lopez connects to his big man there, Blonzik, in the middle.
Yeah, look, that was a good serve from Lutz, a better pass and a better side out from the Untouchables.
Holiday with a float serve. Josh Castillo overpasses, and that's a net from Ryan Kenny trying to track that one down. Castillo's been a little wavery with his passes so far. I think it's the second overpass, and he had one that was saved by Kenny as well.
Yeah, just needs to move his feet, maybe get his butt down a little bit lower, right? Track the ball into his arms.
Holiday goes back to Nugent this time. Modesto tries to cut that angle. That was impressive. So he was looking for a net. I didn't see a net. What I saw was such a big blocking penetration move that it blocked the ball into the net.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. That was exactly what happened.
Holiday serves to Castillo, finds his target. Kenny goes all the way to the outside. Great dig here on Untouchables. And that was certainly not elegant on the way that Ramos handled that ball, but it comes out clean, and Ragland more than happy to take a swing at it. Holiday putting together, I was saying I wanted to see a little more involvement from him, and he's putting together a great serving run right now. Going to the backside with Lutz. There's another good block touch from Ragland. Ragland is absolutely hilarious to watch. When he got aced down the line a little bit earlier, off his platform, he was sitting there trying to tell the judges no touch. It goes up on the block touch, clearly tooled there, and once again asking who they saw touch it, getting a couple smiles from people, keeping the mood light. Mood might be light, but the swing is not. Goes over the shoulder with what looks like it's about to be a huge slam dunk. Comes over the side with a windmill swing, pounds that one down in the middle of the court. And that's a huge swing in momentum here as we see the Chicago Untouchables now with a 4-point lead at 8-4.
Yeah, Chicago's created some sense of urgency. They're playing, they're having fun, right?
Yeah.
They're getting some kills and blocks, some nice swings by Raglan there, and they're celebrating their success, right? See a lot of smiles, obviously. Everything's great when it's, you know, rainbows and unicorns, right?
Yep.
And you're up by 4 points early on, but there's still a long way to go. Look for Team Freedom, you know, their coaching staff, they know how to create that strategy to come out of a timeout, earn that side out right away, and then go back on their own run.
Two things I'm really excited to see right now that are happening for Untouchables that we did not see in the first set is we're continuing to see a lot of extended rallies. Melendez is really getting more involved. A couple great digs so far. The guy in white over there, the libero, he's also really, really doing well in serve receive, but also Bolonzik. The guy is getting more involved offensively. Getting that middle block one-on-one is a great move for him, and you'll love to see him getting involved.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nick. He wasn't a non-factor in set one, but they've already emphasized him a little bit more in set number 2.
I totally agree. That's a great way of putting it. You know, he's really making his stamp here and making his number known, and someone that's got to be taken care of.
Number, presence. I mean, look at the guy, 7 feet tall. It's more, I think, more of a presence being felt on the court than anything else.
Yep. And
wow.
Raglan goes back. Not only does he bounce the last swing, he gets a technical timeout, maps out where he's going to hammer that next ball.
That was a well-placed serve for the clean ace without anyone touching it, something you don't see very often.
Goes again, targets Magales. Nugent's going to set that one up for Lutz. Roll shots it over, and there it is. Bolonzik once again, a disciplined block. We've been a little critical on the last couple things, or last couple sets, just on the day, of seeing the blockers getting over. And for a 7-footer, the hardest thing and most important thing is that he goes over the net. Does it there, gets a nice little tap block down, take the free point.
Right. And someone should tell Lutz not to try to roll shot past him.
I mean, you could try to free ball it over him and still maybe have some issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Modesto now going to be looking for that jump serve. Quick set to the outside, and Ramos. There was an awkward moment where the gym went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop, and instead the only thing you hear, and I love this from your back row players, you hear Raglan yell, line.
Yeah.
That's his hit or no, line is open. Ramos executes perfectly, cuts that one back. Great swing.
Yeah, and just like that, the Untouchables, you know, 11-6, they've got a nice 5-point lead here. They've kind of turned the tables from set number 1. And no, not to say we still have a long way to go here, Nick, but good response so far by the team in light blue jerseys over there.
Kenny hits the float now. Ramos with a great pass. Goes back to the outside. It's going to be off the net. Tip over the top. Takes Kenny out. Set to the outside. Nugent takes a big swing. And now Tom Burrell. You know, Tom Burrell has had 3 contacts that all don't quite ring home on his hand, it looks like. But he's also got 3 points on the scoreboard. So not here to judge for him, and I'll enjoy the fact that Tom Burrell's putting on a show all the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nugent with a pass that's going to force a bump set to the outside. Lutz tries to go for the cross-court roll shot. Chicago Untouchables are putting good pressure right now between serving and blocking, and that's really forcing Freedom to try and answer back.
Yeah, you're right, Nick. Good pressure from the Untouchables, especially to start the second set. We're creeping up halfway through. Freedom's kind of spinning. You know, they're trying to figure it out a little bit. Their communication needs to get upgraded, and they got to level up their action too as well in order to kind of keep this game close.
Couple scattered plays here, but that's going to be a third one. We'll see if anyone's able to get a handle on it. Whoever does, I'm sure the one that's going to get the point. Nice dig there on Freedom, and Castillo goes back for his attempt at a big route, and there's Tom Burrell to shut that one down and say not this time.
Yeah, nice stuff down by the middle. Good discipline by him to hold in his position until the ball comes out of the setter's hands. Realizes he didn't have to move. He just moved his hands over when he went to block, and he got it.
And there's a deep, that wasn't even a jumbo. That thing just absolutely floated. And that's a great serve there from Moises Lopez. Finds the deep corner cross court, uses every foot of court there. Same serve once again, targets the libero. Nugent's gonna set tight. Tom Burrell sets it up that it's gonna go to the outside and a jam off the block there. Good cover by Kenny. Lutz is gonna have to free ball this one over. Tom Burrell takes ball 1. Holiday roll shots deep. Ryan Kenny resets to the outside, and there's a huge block. And that's once again Tom Burrell squaring up with Holiday, finding a way to get involved. And we are seeing a 10-point lead as we head into the second technical timeout.
Burrell says, I don't have to be 7 feet tall to block the ball straight back down, sir. And he's gotten 2 nice blocks there in the last several points for the Untouchables. As, you know, yeah, a 10-point lead now. You see full momentum on the side of the Untouchables, and Freedom's definitely spinning, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think one thing right now is I think the libero, Glenn Magales, is struggling a little bit on the side of Freedom. He's been the target of a lot of their serve-receive options, and, you know, I think they're really targeting him right now. So if I'm over there with the Chicago Untouchables, my 2 focuses is 1, guys, energy high. Doesn't matter what happens right now. We have a 10-point lead developed. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot emotionally. And 2, tough serves. Let's target the libero. Let's see if, you know, let's see what we can make him do. But I don't know. Let's hear a different spin on what's going on right now. Victoria, what do you got?
Thanks, Nick. Absolutely. Team Freedom right now, they're swinging low and hard. They need to go high off of this big block that the Untouchables have. The Untouchables are currently in a rhythm, and they're feeling the flow. The energy is great on their side. So in order to break that for Team Freedom, they need to swing high off the hands and find a rhythm at the service line. Nick?
Absolutely. We've seen a couple terminal blocks, and as we talk about Tom Burrell shutting some of that down, the big adjustment that you make is really by swinging those high hands. It's a great point, Victoria. So right now when you see the pin hitters on Team Freedom make that adjustment. But that one just gets away. But honestly, again, Moises Lopez put so much pressure with the last couple serves.
Yeah, that one just got a little tailwind on that one all of a sudden from the fan, but that's the second point for Team Freedom's coach on the timeout calls to ice the servers.
Now Nugent goes up and returns in kind, but we talk so much about serving because that's so much a part of the men's volleyball game. But when you're down by 10 points, you don't come back from that by lollipopping serves. You do have to kind of just double down, keep trying to apply pressure.
Yeah, you're totally right. You have to apply pressure, but a controlled pressure.
Nice digs on this rally here. Kenny is going to have to put that one up, and Josh Castillo free-balling it, giving his team a chance to reset. Holiday goes for that swing, goes low seam, and that's going to be, I think, that was Hoyt. I couldn't see. I think it was Hoyt there that made that move from the middle, closed that gap up. Team Freedom really we've got to clean up those third balls going over the net. There's a lot of free balls coming over right now.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier too, Nick, as far as, sending a free ball over versus, getting your feet to the ball and jumping and kind of giving it a good controlled spin. Something that Team Freedom could develop, and it would probably help.
Yeah, and Tom Burrell, once again, the contact not quite where he wants it to be. Unfortunately, for the first time this match, he gets a hitting error there, sends that one long with a bit of backspin. But we're seeing Hoyt, once again, developing his serving run to score some points for Freedom, so we'll see how far he can take this one. Melendez with a good pass, and Tom Burrell does not miss the connection there, cuts it back, drops his thumb down, and gets a nice kill for the Chicago Untouchables.
Nice to see Chicago go back-to-back, repeat him after he made the hitting error, get him right back on the right track before he goes into the back row and tries to get some point manufacturing from the inline.
Here's a float serve. Nugent airs it out in the middle of the court, and Ryan Kenny's got to go to Josh Castillo. And there's going to be a huge block touch. Little miscommunication. John Lutz has to free ball over once again. Backside, get Holiday another swing. That one's going to be in. Line judge dialed in, sees that one hitting the line. That's a huge swing we've been waiting to see from Holiday. And, we were talking a little bit about the system and how successful some of these hitters have been. And I want to really give a nod to Moises Lopez running a great offense, spreading it out, and just keeping all of his guys involved. And he's had a couple of successful setbacks there. David Holiday getting blocked a couple points ago, finds him again. Tom Burrell having a hitting error, goes right back to him. All of his guys are getting involved. He also knows, though, his outsiders are scoring him his points. He knows where he's going to get his workhorses.
Right. Yep. And that's what a good setter, has to have the pulse of the game and his players, and that's what he's doing.
Good swing from Ragland there, goes just long, but hard, aggressive angle. Modesto does a good job sealing with that block set by Ryan Kenny. Nice serve by John Lutz. Lutz with a roll shot, passed by Ramos. Little misconnection there, but a tip that takes the setter out. Nugent airs this one out to Josh Castillo. Melendez tracks that all the way down. Great hustle. Freedom looking for an option here. Nugent digs the blocked ball. Lutz looks for a deep swing. More great defense on the side of the Chicago Untouchables. Holiday roll shots down line. Kenny goes for the Bick. Nugent dug by Melendez. Outside, Ragland takes his swing, tools it off with a low seam swing, but he makes sure to get himself out of the way and allows for the tool.
Yeah, give credit to Melendez for that pursuit of the dig into his own team's bench, and brought it back and gave his team another chance to get a block in D, and the Team Freedom hits the ball out.
Absolutely, and Will followed up by a huge dig right after his scoop out of the stands. I think he recorded 2 or 3 digs there. That's a huge rally. Love when we see liberos getting involved there.
Yeah, they're not point scorers. They're kind of rally extenders. They give their team a chance to get a scoop and then another swing in transition. So
Josh Castillo serves that one long.
The wheels have fallen off for Team Freedom in here in set number 2.
Yep. We're still at a 9-point deficit. I mean, they really haven't done too much to close that 10 points. And Ragland goes after Nugent. Free ball forced over once again. And that's going to be Balanzic going right back in there. Good involvement. Once again, Moises Lopez running an offense that you love to see.
Just set the big man. He's 7 feet tall. Set him. Get him involved. He came back. He was doing the Ezekiel Elliott. Feed me. Keep feeding me. He wants more.
Big man's got to eat. More great aggressive serving from Ragland. Oh, able to get the one-handed touch. It's going to go off the ceiling. Oh, everyone. Ragland lost sight of that one, but
Ragland broke the first rule of volleyball.
Don't
never take your eye off the ball.
Yep. Nice block move there from Balanzic to get all the way out to Ramos. They got a great touch, and back row, Ragland able to throw the hand up and extend that one. Just didn't quite go their way.
Nope.
See if Modesto now is able to make something work. We've got a blocking sub in with Seifert out here.
And who's going to set?
Yep. And that's where Chris Nugent's going to hit off of the block touch. And this is something I love seeing it, and that's where I really do want to give credit to the Stunners. When they have that one come in, they practiced it. They know what they're looking for, and Hilling takes hand on the second ball. Well, here we've seen the huge block change. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't think there's a big conversation about who's got ball number 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone say, okay, I'm setting the second ball yet,
So we'll see how that develops. And there's a Balanzic that, once again, this is a more typical blocking sub adjustment where you see teams are really just trying to make sure the ball doesn't come back over the net.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's 100% correct, Nick.
Hoyt able to get a nice block touch there, though, to slow that one down. Modesto goes for a float serve. And this is going to be that set to the outside. That's going to be 4 contacts. And see, now I want to give you a lot of credit here. I was saying, hey, maybe pull that trigger, keep serving aggressive. Instead, Modesto goes to a float serve. Now we've seen that substitution come in. Team Freedom stringing together some points, give the boys a little bit of energy.
Yep.
Let them play some volleyball.
Yeah, let them play. Let them create some emotion and have some fun and score some points to carry it in. If you're just going to jump serve and miss their serve, it's not going to do any good for you.
Yep, and now Seifert shows us the hands on the big man. Dishes that outside, and that's a kill for Nugent. And maybe the problem all along was that Team Freedom had an actual setter on the court.
Maybe, and also that setter didn't have a mustache like Matt Seifert's mustache too.
There's a certain level of style points that you earn alone on that bad boy.
We do have to make that known that Matt Seifert has already gotten the award here this weekend for the best mustache.
Previously held by outside from LA Blaze, Pablo Guzman had a nice handlebar.
Yes.
But now I'm trying to find the, so Seifert is, I believe, right up around that 6'10" option as well.
Yeah, he's a big man, all right.
And so to see him get the nod to take hands, You know, that's one of the things that as a West Coast native volleyball guy, you forget about. So many of these East Coast guys get a chance to play a lot of beach and a lot of grass. So they become very well-rounded players. And I believe Seifert's a coach as well. So once you get to that coaching level, he's an assistant coach out, and I forget which school, but you know, you get a lot of those extra game touches. You hit a lot of those down balls, and sometimes you're short of body. He's got to step in.
He's got to step in and play. I did it too when I was coaching, and you know, he's played overseas, you know, for sure for a couple years as well. So you know, he's seasoned. He knows what he's doing. He knows his role when he comes in a situation like this, and he's helping out his squad right now.
And Chicago Untouchables finally able to make it happen, and it was only a matter of time, but a great substitution all the same. Also, sometimes there's a big advantage with Ryan Kenny and Coach Justin Beaumont being two of the guys that really direct how this team goes.
Yeah.
It gives them an opportunity to really have a prolonged discussion about how you're going to prepare to continue the match.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a good run by them to create that little mini run to score some points, even though now it's going to be set point over to the Untouchables. You know, at least Team Freedom, from the scoreboard perspective, made it a little bit more respectable.
Yeah. And again, you know, at the end of the game, the score doesn't always matter as much as some of the momentum that the teams are putting together, because at the end of the day, one team wins, one team loses. So you got to go to the next match and next set and find a way to reset. Nugent gets that setback. Nicely done by Kenny there.
Set point once again for the Untouchables here. Nice 6-point cushion.
Set goes back, and there is that huge hitting vocabulary I talked about at the beginning of the match. We got to watch Tom Burrell.
Yep.
He scores points going every which way. He uses an abundance of physical prowess to really get up, hang and bang.
So something you didn't see in game number one was really the middle blocker effectiveness for the Untouchables, which in game two, they made a big adjustment and brought both guys in. Burrell got a couple of blocks. I think he went 3 for 4, maybe 4 for 5 attacking-wise. Balanzik, obviously, his presence has been felt even more so now in set number 2. And that's what kind of gives you that scoreboard, you know, that kind of flip-flop in the action. So
yeah,
good response by the Untouchables.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, your math's pretty right on the nose. That's about 8 or 9 points between the two middles out of kills there. That's not including the blocking effectiveness that they've shown. So really quick, when your middles are putting up that many points in one set, you're changing the entire tide of the game, and that's what we saw. You win by 8 or 9 points.
Yeah, you also saw some good serving from the Untouchables as well. So
a lot of pressure being applied. Also pretty rock steady serve receive, and they might have been finding a target potentially in the libero there from Team Freedom. So that's one of those losses that I think Freedom doesn't say. I wouldn't want to be running back my same lineup.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Team Freedom's going to do. If, you know, they got some big guys, you know, on the bench right now through the first 2 sets to see if they're kind of warmed up and might get inserted at some point, depending on what the score is and how Team Freedom responds into game number 3. Because, you know, it's one match a day. Like, if you aren't available to play, like, you need to be, right? So be ready to get in no matter what's going on in the match and come in and make an impact.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I really like, that we, as the NBA grow, we're shifting towards events that it's 1 match per day. As we get away from having to manage playing 2 best-of-5s, sometimes you're not focused on putting your best team on the court. You're thinking about, how do I handle the match after this? Is that going to be a harder team? How does that team match up against us? And so you start doing some of that roster manifestation, or not manifestation, but management. And I love that we're not seeing that here. It's, let's put the best team on the court, best foot forward, and we got to win.
Yeah, absolutely. From a player's perspective, I would eat this up. 1 match a day, you know, with a lot of, you know, stuff riding on that match. Like, I'm going to be ready to go. I'm going to bring my best game. I'm going to make sure that I'm loose and ready and warm. I had some good food in my belly. I've got good energy, right? We're going to execute the game plan. We're going to scout the opponent. We're going to know what they're going to do and really put the whole pieces together to create a solid game plan in order to come out of this weekend with a 3-0 record, right, as you work your way through the season.
Now, a big thing to know is all of these teams have Instagrams that they're quite active on, and we talk about this 1 match a day. The Dallas Tornadoes, yesterday I saw on their Instagram, they had all the guys in the hotel room together. They're prepping for their match, and they were, you know, talking about how they've got, you know, that prep for the next day going on. And you know, all the teams are doing it. It makes it a lot more feasible and doable.
Yeah.
So it's going on.
You also need to have full investment from your team. every single member of your team has got to be fully invested, not just here at the event, but in the weeks leading up to it in terms of training, same mindset as far as what we're trying to accomplish when we practice. What's our identity like? What are we trying to do offensively? What are we trying to do defensively, block and defense-wise? What are our serving philosophies? All those kinds of rules that are really super important for these teams to develop, sort of in this condensed season that we're working through.
Absolutely, and we have done a lot of work in the off season leading up to this event to talk about those philosophies, talk with all the owners and the coaches. So if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out Quest for the Cup on the NVA USA channel here on YouTube. Definitely worth an inside look as you hear all the coaches and their philosophies, what the owners want from their organization. Definitely provide some good key insight. But we're going to get back into set 3 here, and that's a hand pass from Nugent with a misconnection to Hoyt in the middle. We see no adjustments on the lineup on Team Freedom side, so they're going to let their boys roll through this one, see if they can battle back. But don't expect to see it too long, because I don't think Freedom has any intention of letting this one become a loss without any adjustments being made.
Yeah, I mean, you can't come out and win the first set and then just get deflated completely in the second set.
Big hustle there from Melendez. Sorry, he was getting a little dialed in. There was a late move made around the pin there. Melendez going all out, trying to find another find another touch with the giant LED board in front of us here. Good pass by Ragland, goes to the backside, and there is a huge swing by Ramos, getting the boys fired up as this set is underway.
Yeah, Ramos has really, come out of the gates a little bit slow, but he's turned his game around, right? He really leveled up his action, and he's getting more opportunities, and he's been pretty consistent since the beginning of that first set.
Absolutely. Now Kenny goes back to Nugent, block touch. And the guys, oh wow, great move by Melendez, able to find that one, and a big route from Ramos going right back to him. Melendez making a great move coming back into the court after that block touch. The block lost track of it, so he made sure to be there. Thought he had a good angle to see that ball in as he was heading back to the court, but not going to work out their way. And now he hits a good pass, and Tom Burrell gets involved. All right, during that timeout, some teams were making adjustments. Victoria, you got any insight for us?
Sure do, Nick. Team Freedom, while I was talking to them, they were able to give me insight on the fact that these mid-afternoon games, it's easy to be a bit lackadaisical, so they need to really mentally check into the game, and everybody needs to be doing their job. So that's what they're focusing on their side. The Untouchables, however, just want to carry over the momentum they had from that last set. Nick?
That's an interesting insight. You'd really like to hear at this level that the coaches and having to tell their guys to wake up, but I don't think I think the scoreboard told us that too, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Burrell with a float serve, good pass by Castillo, goes to the backside, and Lutz finds a swing. Tom Burrell unable to get the dig touch that he wants there. So we have seen the one adjustment. I was curious if we were going to see Seifert coming back into the game.
Yep.
And so it's going to be a switch for Seifert for Modesto.
Yeah, I think they're gonna need that, so that lines Seifert up against Bolonzak. Creates a little bit of a more equal blocking lineup for those two players.
Reset, Kenny goes outside, Castillo swings deep. Ragland is just killing me. He agrees with the lines judge, walks over and gives them the high five. His energy is infectious. Float serve here, short from Holiday. Big route for Nugent. Great swing, cuts that one back, able to beat the defensive move of Melendez. Gonna clean up a little bit of a wet spot here. We are tied up at 4s. Good to see Team Freedom here, kicking it back up a notch after a little bit of a sleeper set 2.
I like the change they made with their middle blockers.
Yep.
Nothing else has really changed that much, Lutz needs to kind of he's got to find his groove.
Yeah.
He was a factor in game 1 and a non-factor in game 2.
And there's a good hand pass by Melendez, tight set, and that's the first really authoritative swing we've seen out of Bolonz. It goes through the 10-foot line there and finds the big bounce that the man knows he wants. Great set to him as well by Moises Lopez.
The intensity of our boy Bolonzek is intense.
Yeah.
I mean, he is dialed in, and he is fiery too.
Great pass by Nugent. And there's the dump over by Ryan Kenny. I was thinking Ryan Kenny was going to give Seifert a shot to show his stuff. Instead, you get the two-handed setter dump and says, look, I can score the same point. Check this bounce.
That's it. That's a well-played point by Kenny.
Castillo now with another great serve. Gets Chicago Untouchables out of system. And there's the block touch from Ryan Kenny paired up with Seifert. And that one's going to get the first stop on Ramos I think we've seen in about 12 attempts.
That's a nice block. Yeah, that was a well-formed block by Kenny, especially having Seifert next to him. Kenny has to know the hitters are going to challenge him, and he did a good job with his outside hand to block that ball.
Once again, we're seeing that pressure from Castillo. I'm so good at just jinxing people left and right. I'm just going to stop talking about their serving. Now, Bolonzik's done a good job of targeting some short front row options there. Goes deep here, and it's going to go back outside to Nugent. Bolonzik lays out, covers half the court in doing so, but not quite able to come up with a dig.
Well put, Nick. That was a great description of Bolonzik's defensive move right there. He also created a river on the court after he dove for the ball.
Grab your fishing poles. Seifert now with attacking Ramos and serve receive. Burrell with a little bit of a windmill, not quite able. Oh no, okay, he was, okay. No, he was able to get that. No, he wasn't.
Sure,
that one.
Calling a touch. The referee pointed to the Untouchables side.
There was a block touch, correct?
Yes, it seems to be correct.
Okay. Okay, so we're back dialed in here. There was a block touch. Tom Burrell tools the block out of the middle. Love to see that happen. And now Moises Lopez going after Chris Nugent. And Nugent turns that one back in. Good block touch. Holiday able to squeak it over, but it's picked up, and Castillo now going to air that one out. Once again, resetting Team Freedom. Ramos got reset and swings on two. Great dig move there by Megales. Kenny looks to set back. Not quite ready for his Lutz. Ragland tries to show what a back row attack should look like, but Hoyt absolutely ready to shut that one down. I was not ready to talk through the amount of blocking touches going on there, so just kind of let it happen, and both teams showing that they are ready to battle. That was a great rally.
Yeah, nice response by both teams after that second set, right? It was good to see that Team Freedom decided to come out with a little bit more intensity, made that nice switch, brought Seifert in, and you can see there's a little bit of, intensity upping going on by both sides.
Absolutely. During that play, we just saw a variety of those good volleyball skills to have a couple times on Team Freedom balls where they weren't over with their block, and so the ball was funneling down, but Nugent able to kind of get a couple quick punches, pull that out of the net. We saw Megales there all over the court finding ways to extend the rally. Like you said, job of the libero, the more rallies you extend, you're doing your job. And then also we saw an awesome swing out here on the outside as that was Ramos on two. Completely off balance, gets off the ground, takes a huge swing because there were not many other options for him there.
Yeah, that set was just right, happened to be right in his window. He did catch Team Freedom off guard. I believe he did score the point on that one.
No, I was saying in the middle of this last rally, off the dig, it was coming towards us.
I think he scored the point on that, didn't he?
No, that was mid-rally.
Oh, that was. Okay,
because that went the way of Team Freedom.
It's a good aggressive swing.
But I love to see that creativity, players recognizing the state of the game. That rally was 35 seconds long, so don't blame me. There was enough swings there to get all sorts of tongue-tied. And now Ryan Kenny out of the technical timeout, lays it up short. Nice pass by Melendez, and Tom Burrell getting involved once again. Nugent this time taking that swing and able to swing through the high seam of the Untouchables. Kenny now for that float. Targets Ragland, and Ragland's gonna have a little bit of a tough. Oh, I did not recognize what was going on. Ragland is still the back row outside, leaving Holiday as the only front row option. I was a little confused when they got laid up like that.
Yeah, it was a little confusing as well, but definitely not a set that was in Holiday's window.
Nope, especially the lefty on the outside.
Yeah.
Ramos has been hitting some great serves so far in this match. See if he can apply some more pressure. Goes after Nugent, and now Kenny's gonna throw it all the way to the outside. And John Lutz goes over the top of the block, no touch on the side of the Untouchables, as their name would indicate. And Ramos is gonna go back and start pushing his serving.
Well, Team Freedom needs Lutz to really find his groove, right? We talked about it early on. He started out the match pretty well, but he's kind of turned it down since then.
Absolutely, and now Nugent's going to look to create a little bit more pressure if he's able to for Team Freedom. Not quite able to get the look he wants, but now Untouchables happily going to have Bolonzik coming back onto the court for the both offensive and defensive prowess that he's been able to establish here.
Yeah, look for him to make an impact. You know, this is a close game right now, set number 3, but the 7-footer comes in, go either way.
Nice block touch, good off-blocker defense there, or that's a back row defense by Burrell. And that one's gonna squeak through. Good to see Holiday getting involved. Utilize that mismatch on the shorter blocker front row, that is Josh Castillo. Tom Burrell, once again, I made some nods to the defense that these Untouchables middles are able to play. Tom Burrell doing a great job there. Ryan Kenny going backside, and that's a big block touch. Freedom looks to extend the rally. Nugent's gonna try to send this one over, and he's able to do so. Untouchables back to Holiday once again, and not quite able to find the hands that he was swinging for. Great hustle play and momentum shifter there for Team Freedom.
When you make the investment to lay out for a ball, get another chance to lay out for a second ball, and then get it over to give your block and defense a chance to score the point, and then the other team hits the ball out because they thought the rally was done.
Love to see that from Nugent. Big, big hustle play. Once again, dropped short by Hoyt. Melendez clears through effectively. God, I love that as a hitter, that when I see a libero that understands the hitter's hitting lanes, Melendez takes that one short. It's a great serve there by Hoyt, but Melendez clears through immediately, allowing for the offense to reestablish itself and doesn't get in the way of any of his hitters.
If I was Melendez, I'd want to get out of the way too with a 7-footer coming at me.
It's one of those things sometimes you see on big routes. The back row player starts running into guys that aren't aware that it's coming through.
Yeah.
John Lutz now with a 1-point lead. Little stagger step, but good adjustment on his toss. Nice pass by Ragland. And Bolonzik not quite able to find the angle that he wants there.
I think that's his first hitting error of this match, and I like him getting the opportunity with a pass that wasn't really, it was off the net. Setter kind of threw it into him, but just connection.
Hey, I want to see Moises Lopez continue to do it. You got such a big target up there. How involved can you get him?
Yep.
Nice serve by Lutz. Good pass by Ramos, but it's going to be a bump set to Ragland on the outside. Nice cover by Bolonzik. Step close from Ramos. Gets a great pace on it. Seifert is able to poke it up. And now we see the dump over. Read well by Lutz, but not able to come up with it. Chicago Untouchables ready to scrap for that.
Timely choice by the setter in blue, number 2. Kind of sets it over on 2, catches Team Freedom sleeping a little bit, and maybe they were expecting Bolonzik to get another set.
Yeah.
Nice heads-up play by the Untouchables.
And that's one of those big advantages you get when you develop an offense like that. When you have a 7-footer paired with your shorter setter, you know, it's very easy to key on the huge offensive threat that is Bolonzik. So when you have, you know, Moises Lopez right there, who hasn't dumped yet this set, it allows him that opportunity to almost get a free point because you haven't seen it, you don't know if you should expect it. compared to Derek Sullivan with Southern exposure. He's such a large setter that there's physical prowess there. You know you've got to respect his dump.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a different situation.
Yep. Undersized
Nice
setter
serve.
being offensively involved.
Wow, great pullback one-handed reset here. Moises Lopez goes outside. Big swing by Ramos, dug up nicely by Freedom. Set by Lutz to the middle back. Dug by Ragland here. Holiday gets a big swing on the left. Lift called there as Seifert is able to squeak that over. Ryan Kenny finds a way to find Seifert there in transition. Wow, I just tripped on every word in that sense. I'm going to try that one more time. Ryan Kenny finds a way to get Matt Seifert involved in transition, gets the point. Good win there for Freedom.
Yeah, he rewards Matt Seifert for getting up in transition and being ready to hit. He wanted to get in the ball. He did, kind of a 31 right there. The ball kind of rattles around, and it results in a lift call, I think, on the Untouchables there. So, again, middles at home, work hard to get up in transition. You will get rewarded by your setter, right? And those kills will come quickly and easily by being available.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's really one of those positions that middles are they're a workhorse. I mean, you got to do it, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but the harder you work, the more that you're going to find success, because there's so many intangibles in that position.
Yeah.
If you're playing for the block touches, you're playing to take away court, and you might be one of the best middle blockers with no stats to show for it, because guys hitting against you have bad hitting numbers.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right, Nick.
That's why stats only tell half the story sometimes. You really got to know what your expectations for your team are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Castillo goes with an aggressive serve, offset to Ramos, who looks, that sets off the net, not quite where he wants it from Lopez, but they have a little quick discussion about it, and he tries to better that ball with some off speed, not quite able to do so though. Castillo with an off-speed shot. Ball is up. Ragland's going to hit a just an overhand swing. Kenny goes back to Seifert, and there's the connection we've been wanting to see from the offensive middles of Team Freedom. Timeout now from the Untouchables. We've got a 5-point lead that has developed for Team Freedom, and the machine for Team Freedom is now well-oiled, fueled up, and they are rolling on.
Yeah, you're seeing a real, seesaw back and forth. Okay, so Team Freedom taking that first set, coming back, Untouchables turned the tides a little bit, created some, sense of urgency, and now Team Freedom's kind of taking it back. So, 18-13, 5-point lead, it's by no means comfortable, because these two teams are very evenly matched, and anyone can go on a run from the end line to kind of create, either a closer game or pull farther away from one another.
Yeah, and I think the big adjustment right now that we've seen is Team Freedom is putting a lot more pressure on with their serves. We're seeing the Untouchables serve receive, while not bad, is certainly not as in system as it was.
Yeah.
And so middles have been removed once again.
Exactly. That's just what I was going to say. You invest in those tougher serves, your reward is less setting to their other team's middle, right? The 7-footer, Bolonzik. And so it's paying off for Team Freedom.
Yeah, and Team Freedom with upping serves and putting Seifert in front of him, they've made two good adjustments that help slow down that middle, forces some swings to the outside. And there's that, that's going to be a net on Untouchables. Oh, they didn't call it. That's all right. Point goes Freedom all the same.
Yeah, I thought I saw a net there, but obviously not. It was hard to tell if that ball was in or out, but good point, though. Good serve from Castillo. We've been talking about throughout the match that his serve is a very important factor for Team Freedom, and he's got to find some kind of rhythm back there to create multiple service runs.
Wow, a lot of pace on that one. Ragland gets helped out by the ceiling, and that's going to be free balled over. Team Freedom is back in system, and they go to Nugent now with a big swing on the angle. The speed of that set let Nugent really be one-on-one. Bolonzik was trying to get out there, but didn't even get off the ground.
Yeah, that's the only sort of weakness I'm seeing as the 7-foot blocker tries to move laterally right and left, okay? He's not quite getting his hands over the net. He's not giving up on the play, but he's just not really penetrating the net on those sideways block moves.
Yep, good pass there by Ramos. He's back in system. That's what you want to see. It's funny. There's a difference. You know, it's when you say setting the outside. Well, setting the outside. There's a difference between setting your outside in system and setting your outside because you have no other options in a bump set. And it's a bump set over your shoulder.
Yeah.
And that right there was a very in-system decision. Goes out to Ramos, puts it away. Alonso goes deep. Nice hand pass by Castillo. Oh my goodness, Ryan Kenny with the one-handed layup to Seifert behind him. He knew exactly where his middle blocker was.
Yeah, I think they planned that out from the beginning to run a back one, but blockers for the Untouchables jumped, left Seifert wide open, and he took full advantage of that.
To be able to find that connection, Ryan Kenny making that one look like a masterpiece. Serve short there from serving sub Chris Vaughn. Apologies to Seifert on the way back out.
As he should, as he should. That was a poor service attempt, and if I was Matt Seifert, I would be letting my coach know about it right now.
Ooh, there's a short serve, takes Castillo out, and Lutz goes back. That's the swing you want to see. Dangle it out in front of him, put it 5 feet from the net, make him jump aggressively, and John Lutz using all of that physicality with a big swing there.
Yeah, nice in-system play there by Team Freedom. You can see the difference when it's in-system for Lutz. He gets his approach line there, his feet there. He can jump, fly from the 10-foot line and really get a nice hit on the ball.
Ryan Kenny with a great float. And there's, wow, it has an awkward takeoff for Holiday being the lefty on the outside, but that's a much better approach for him to get a nice swing.
I didn't quite see the whole thing develop there, but it looked like he might have been trying to faking like an X2 inside the 31 and then cut back outside for the left side attack.
And there's Lutz once again, but a great dig by Melendez. Inside set. Oh, I really like that set from Ramos.
Yeah, I do too. I think that was a good set, you know, and I like the swing by Ragland as well. He's got his feet to it and took a swing.
But we see a great adjustment from Freedom. They handle, you know, the out of system that their reward for an aggressive serve.
Yep, absolutely. It's paying dividends for him through this third set, Nick.
And now we have flipped where we were just last set with the 23-16. Now going the opposite direction.
It's a seesaw battle back and forth.
It is indeed. We're all just along for the ride here in the third set as Team Freedom take on the Chicago Untouchables. After this one, I think we've got, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be the Dallas Tornadoes playing the Utah Stingers.
I think you're right, Nick.
That's going to be one of those, I think, David and Goliath matchups as we have the reigning Utah Stingers that looked very on form last night. Dallas Tornadoes had a tough matchup yesterday. And, you know, we're going to see them trying to make their weekend debut, see if they can take some games and even a match off the Utah Stingers.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that match. You know, seeing the Stingers from last year in November, they were a strong squad playing, you know, close to home. It's going to be interesting to see them on the road and how they adjust to, you know, being in California and playing. And then obviously against the Tornadoes as well.
Well, in true form, Chris Nugent not quite able to find that one. Men's volleyball at its very best. You cool everyone down for that little between game, you know, timeout, and all of a sudden, got to find your rhythm once again. Now Tom Burrell. Nice aggressive float, breaks the hands there of Josh Castillo. Free ball coming over. Burrell takes it, and now back to Holiday. Blocked into his own head. And it goes over and finds the point. Sometimes the only person you can rely on to cover you is yourself.
Well played by him. Nice swing, block back off the head and then back over for a kill. Does that count as a two? Does it count as two attempts or just one? I'm wondering.
One's an attempt, one's a kill. I know the volleyball verbiage, but I don't have an answer for you. That's going to be a tight one from Ramos, and game ball touches over here in the booth once again. Yeah, I think that, you know, that's the stat world that when you start free balling balls over, I don't know what considers an attempt. And I think internationally that's where a lot of guys will set with their hands because they don't want it to count against them as an attempt.
Probably.
As opposed to tipping, which might be.
Right.
Wow, Ragland gets up for that swing.
But he hit it out.
But he hit it out.
And that's game. 25-18.
Well, that's a great response there from Team Freedom, and I think the way that I would just really sum that up is increased service pressure changed the entirety of that one, because Untouchables were just not in system. But it's one of those the domino effects that happen so frequently in volleyball. You're sitting there saying, how do we slow down this offense? How do we adjust our blocking or defense? And it's like, well, maybe the answer to that question is you increase the service pressure, because now everything else, they're out of system. They're taking some chops, some tips, and we're getting a couple more free balls coming our way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good response by Team Freedom to come back after that set 2 loss. Clearly, Coach Justin, laid out some rules and some focuses for his team in order for them to kind of regroup. And again, as far as the Untouchables go, it's not that they're playing bad, but like you said, those service runs that they had in Game 2, they didn't have in Game 3, and,
right.
and Team Freedom did. So, it's a game of runs and momentum, like we've been saying, over and over and over again. And that's what happened in set number 3. So, the next question is going to be if Team Freedom can start Game 4 like they finished, or if the Untouchables are going to, be able to respond as they did in game number 2.
And I think the big adjustment here is what I kind of just see in this squad is when Ragland is just kind of being able to keep it lighthearted, being aggressive, and he's the guy you rely on to be your X factor, because Ramos is hitting a ton of kills at a high percentage. But when Ragland's allowed to kind of just go after his serve, go after his front row swings, go after that bick, and you can allow for him to miss some of those, but just keep the blockers honest on the side of Team Freedom, that really seemed to create a lot of success for them. So we'll see if he's able to kind of find his way back into that flow here in the 4th set. I would assume if we didn't see any personnel changes really other than a middle here for Team Freedom between 2 and 3, we're not going to see a personnel change here.
No, I think both coaches have the matchups they want with their personnel decisions and their starting lineups. But I would be surprised to see any kind of changes in that way. What the Untouchables need to do is what they need to do in Game 4 is get their middles involved again, as they had in set number 2. Okay?
Yeah.
That'll be a very determinative factor for them if they can, force a 5th set and win game number 4.
Yeah, and one of the ways that when you're younger and it feels like, oh man, my team can't pass, so I can't play middle as a hitter. One of the big things that you see more dynamic teams find success with is that's where you go to your push ones, your threes. The more space you create between your middle and your setter, there allows for a much larger hitting window. So maybe they're able to get that involved. Tom Burrell is a very agile middle. Honestly, if you're trying to force it, maybe that's where you go to one of your other middles, like a Matt Buffum, someone that while you lose some of the size straight up, you create some of that offensive prowess just through their effort.
But it's also a matter of passing, right?
It is.
We saw the passing break down a little bit, which means that you can't run your offense through the middle, right? And so you got to take care of the first ball contact, make sure that passes up to the net so that your setter can throw the ball into the quicks. You got a 7-foot hitter, 7-foot middle blocker, like feed him the ball, get him involved, but the pass has got to be there.
Absolutely, and we're always surmising over here, but there's going to be no personnel changes for either team as it stands. So both teams think they've got the squad, and they just say, let's double down and let it ride. Kind of interested here, actually, that given the rotations, that Untouchables didn't rotate it back one to have, oh, never mind, disregard what I'm saying. I saw the wrong rotation. That's going to be a net there on Moises Lopez. I thought I saw Castillo one rotation back, and I would say the amount of service pressure he's had, maybe rotate him back one to start him off again, see if he can kind of pick up where he carried off.
Well, no, starting a rotation 1 for Team Freedom. Their go-to.
And there's that difference between setting the outside and setting an in-system ball to the outside we see there. Double block waiting from Team Freedom. Kenny with a good float, but that's going to be handled well by Ramos. And there's that high point of contact from Tom Burrell.
A little bit of a roundhouse quick attack by Burrell and scores the point, gets the Untouchables on the board here.
Missed serves right now are just a tough way to start this match for the Untouchables.
Yeah, that's hurting the Untouchables for sure. They got to cut down their missed serves if they want to have a chance to take this set or go get an early dinner.
Nice float serve there by Nugent backside, and that's going to be Ramos looking for high hands, but he may not find the high hands, but he'll certainly find the net from Josh Castillo.
That's an unfortunate net if you're a fan of Team Freedom. That hitting attack was way out of bounds, and the net violation negates it.
Certainly was. Wow, that's a big offensive swing out of the middle there from Hoyt. Gets a nice bounce. Hoyt with that float serve once again. Forced to go outside, and there's going to be a net. Oh, well, that's going to be a point for Untouchables. All the same, not quite able to be dug back row, and that means that we are going to see Balanza coming back in once again. Deep float, hand pass by Nugent. Block touch, and now Tom Burrell takes second ball. Tight 50-50 overpass, and John Lutz takes full advantage of that. Matt Seifert gives the thumbs up, says, thanks, we like it just that tight.
Yeah, he was telling Burrell that that was a great set for his team.
Yep. During that timeout, a little breakdown, Victoria, what'd you hear, or what's your insight looking like?
Thanks, Nick. So there's a little bit of a big brother, little brother chemistry out here on the court. Team Freedom playing the big brother role against the Untouchables. These teams know each other really well. They've played against each other and also with each other. So the Untouchables are coming out here a little bit of an underdog, and they want to take Team Freedom, and you can see that on the court. Team Freedom, on the other hand, they need to, you know, put their little brother in their place. Nick?
Absolutely. It's always fun to pay attention to kind of the off-the-court stories. I'll touch on it in a minute, but we've got a nice rally underway as Kenny goes back to Josh on the outside. Off speed over the top here. Quick set to the Bick attack. Dug by Team Freedom. John Lutz free ball to the outside. Josh Castillo's angle ever diminishing, but he finds some court. Now Holiday goes for the hard angle and finds his way to win that one. What a nice rally there from both teams. Some great adjustments made. But to touch a little bit more on Victoria's points, it's kind of funny to see so many of these West Coast teams practicing in the same gym, so they know each other, and there's so much competition. While the players all play together, they definitely just take those matches personal. Where you get to that right side of the country and you get Southern Exposure, Team Freedom. These guys all know each other, and it's so interesting to see the volleyball community and how it interacts. And Matt Seifert is more than happy to interact with a great set like that from Ryan Kenny. Cuts it back and goes straight down. Big point for Team Freedom.
I like the way Team Freedom's come out in this fourth set, Nick. Playing with a sense of urgency. They're prioritizing that, their serves have been in, but tough. They're missing a lot of serves. They're setting their quick attackers for those quick points. I like what they're doing so far. Yeah,
I totally agree. Got a great system going on. Nice little one joust there by Moises. Free ball from Seifert. And this is one to capitalize on. There's the dump once again. You highlighted this so well early on. One of the great advantages of having that 7-footer next to Lopez there is a free ball like that. The obvious solution is that they're going to Balanzic. And here you get that second dump, goes down in the middle of the court. And Lutz not quite ready to handle that one on the side of Team Freedom.
Lopez knows that Team Freedom is prioritizing what they're doing blocking-wise against Balanzic because of his stature. He's 7 foot tall. You have to respect him offensively, obviously, and front him on defense or whatever, which frees Lopez up to maybe do those little dumps, go over on 2, set it over on 2, get the setter dump involved, and keep this game close, and be more involved offensively for his squad.
Absolutely, and I mean, his height is fairly nullified by Seifert. Seifert is 6'10", 6'11" himself, so there's really not a big height difference anymore between the two. Yeah. That's a great serve, goes over. Ryan Kenny resets it. Oh, not quite able to. That one goes out. David Holiday got me tricked for sure with that move from here. I couldn't see with the depth perception. We're seeing a nice little run here from Untouchables.
Yeah, Ragland's doing a great job serving from the inline for his team here, putting some pressure on Team Freedom. Oh.
Some little pressure applied even more, uses the tape, rolls that one over, and now we've got a 7-7. Next point is going to give a team advantage going into that first technical timeout.
Way to use the equipment for Ragland. He likes it with the
I think I saw him slip a 20 earlier to whoever set that net up.
home court tickler.
Goes right back. Good pass by Castillo. And Nugent uses that high hand. Great swing from him there to be able to just put that one back under control in that run that Ragland was putting together. But still, we're seeing Untouchables refuse to go quietly into that night.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're doing a great job. They're kind of sneaking around, you know, making sure they, you know, situate themselves just close enough that they're not seen, right? And so they can maybe pounce or sort of, you know, throw a couple of haymakers themselves and kind of surprise catch Team Freedom maybe falling asleep a little bit through this fourth set, and you know, keeping it close for that as well.
Absolutely, and you know, we're seeing some of those. We talk about the roles and the variety of ways that a middle blocker can impact the game. And so even though Blonzik, once again, not seeing a whole lot of offensive involvement here, we're seeing a lot of great block touches. He's making some improvements on that lateral side, getting a couple extensions of rallies that allows his guys to make some digs behind him. And that's going to be a really critical thing here as, once again, Untouchables, if they're going to start serving with the pressure that we saw Ragland putting on there, that's really going to force a lot of sets going pin to pin on Team Freedom.
Yeah, and at this point in the match, for the Untouchables specifically, they have to live or die by their serves a little bit. You know, if they want to be involved as this match goes on and create some more points, they're going to have to get some serves like that from Ragland. So,
yeah.
and same for Team Freedom. They've got to serve tough as well. You know,
it's kind of that X factor I was talking about. I want to see them hitting enough pressure that they can let Ragland kind of flip that coin, go back there, and earn them a three-point run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now as we return back into it out of that technical timeout, we're going to see Seifert looking to make a run happen. Looks like that was saved by Melendez, maybe going long, but there's Ragland once again. Wow, 2 one-handed digs in a row. Nugent free balls it over. Melendez gets Untouchables back in system, little throw, reset, and that's recovered. As long as it doesn't hit the ceiling, we are good to go. Ryan Kenny is going to go to the backside here. Lutz gets a touch, and Ragland not quite able to find that one. And as everyone that's watched the NVA for a couple broadcasts knows, I'm absolutely terrible at explaining what is allowed with the antenna and pursuit.
Well, so that ball, it went over the net but outside the antenna. So it was pursued and then brought back to his side, also outside the antenna, which made it legal, right? And then it was sent over on the third contact.
So there you have it.
If it had gone over the net inside the antenna and out of bounds, not playable.
Perfect, thank you. Oh, there's the second swing that goes off the head of one of the Untouchables hitters. That's a big closed block for Ramos, or against Ramos. Is there a little disagreement on in or out there, maybe?
Not too sure what's happening. Can't really see the sideline from where we're sitting.
Seifert now gets the, so I think that the, you know, they both got their side just the way they want it. That one hits the net for Seifert on the right side, trickles over, but apparently, you know, Ragland's got it the other side of the net just the way he wants it adjusted.
The tension of the net is just right. For,
exactly, for that little friendly bounce.
Perfect trickler to happen, so.
Seifert goes long with that one. And now we're going to see Tom Burrell reporting back in. Ryan Kinney with 2 front row hitting options between Hoyt and Nugent, but none required when that serve goes long.
Okay, Nick, so Team Freedom's got a 4-point lead right here.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a technical timeout coming at 16. Right, what do you think the Untouchables need to do, right, to get this game back to closer with 1 or 2 points?
So I'm going to give you a fairly technical answer. Let's get through this point and we'll chat about it here. We're going to have a high set out of system. That's going to be Lutz going right back into the low seam, but that one is out. So right now, the way that Team Freedom serves, I want to adjust my passing scheme. I want to bunch all 3 of my passers. I want to show them that we're willing to let them try to hit a serve at our sidelines. If you do that, what you're going to do is reduce the seams and make a lot more of a cohesive passing unit. In doing so, I think that might help them shore up some of those holes, clean up the serve receive, and maybe activate the middles. Again, I talked about it a little bit earlier. Right now, I might also be looking for a middle change with, I know Matt Buffum is a more mobile middle, similar to Tom Burrell. I think that might give them a little bit of an option running some of these threes, because when your passing isn't there, if you can find that mobile middle with a big hitting window that you can start setting some threes to, you can kind of manifest your own better middle option.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I think also you might add an additional spark to the team.
Sure.
To bring someone in that hasn't really been involved in the match, like on the actual playing court through this point of the game itself. So it might offer some kind of, like I said, a spark to get the team fired up a little bit. They're down by 5. They've got to figure out something to do here before this gets too far away from them. Maybe it's something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these Team Freedom guys do like serving out of the middle of the court. That's kind of why I addressed maybe just change that angle, see if they're going to go after it. Dangle the carrot. That's one of the things we love doing with the Ramblers passing schemes, is show that we're willing to give some court. But here's that nice short adjustment from Team Freedom. But there's a very, very impressive but important point there, as Lopez is able to go one-on-one against Lutz, and, or sorry, I think it was Nugent there. That was Nugent, and forced that one down.
That was a great serve from Team Freedom.
It was.
You know, an overpass. And just need to be a little bit more aware. If you're going to joust, don't just joust straight up and push. Joust and try to swipe. Try to change the trajectory of it, right? And that's going to help you, you know, raise your chances of winning that situation.
Yep.
So it's one of those types of deals.
Now we see Nugent go to a float for the first time. That's a wicked float, a lot of movement there, and that's going to force Ramos to take that set. And it's going to go outside to David Holiday, who we've seen struggle to find some of those great connections as a lefty on the outside. This is a rotation that teams tend to struggle with because you don't really have many options that are in their natural hitting position.
Yeah, rotation 1, you know, the opposite hitters hitting on the left side for the 1 rotation. And as a lefty, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but to stare it down after that swing was not that big of a deal. But only good fun here, just good competition. So, you know, there were no blockers up on that one, but.
Well, and that's that run is exactly what we saw earlier. Now with Lutz swings, gets covered there by Nugent. Kenny goes back to the outside, high ball to Castillo. Nice triple block there from the Untouchables.
Ball was out of bounds.
So what we saw earlier that we weren't sure on the tempo though is to help Holiday as a lefty on the outside. What it looks like they're doing is essentially having him run a slide route, so he kind of shades inside and then gets that nice kind of momentum created.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of awkward to stand.
Yeah, you're totally right. It helps him with his approach line, so he starts inside the court. He does sort of do like a modified slide attack where he jumps off of 1 foot, and as the lefty, that probably creates some better angles for him to hit.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun. It's funny that we both share the moment where we get kind of lost together. We saw that happening, and we were both like, what just happened? Because also we're so close to the court that we can hear the players talking a lot of the time. And so that was quite a stare down through the net. But I think there was some friendly jawing off going.
I mean, there's been a little, you know, some choice words going back and forth between the teams this entire time. And, you know, they all know each other like you touched on earlier on. And so it's, you know, it's all in good fun. And it's, you know, a healthy competition. There's nothing negative being said or anything animalistic or whatever, you know. It's just sort of, you know, bragging rights, probably a little chirping, you know, never hurt anybody. So
now we're going to see Hoyt see if he can work his magic with that short float that he's been working Untouchables so well with. Goes, too short. Too short indeed, and that's going to now bring it back within 5. So Untouchables are back within striking distance. See if they can make some magic happen here as Tom Burrell heads to the back line.
Well, the Untouchables have got to find something, all right, because they're starting to run out of time.
And there's something.
There's something that helps.
A lot of good movement on some of these float serves. That one looked like it was soaring out of bounds, kind of dropped, hit that right little, you know, patch of air and just dropped right in there. Burrell does it again. Castillo gets a nice pass, and that's jammed off the block, but Ragland able to corral that one back into the court. And that's going to be a timeout called from Coach Justin Beaumont there. He wants to settle his guys back down, and I think it's a great timing. That's 16-13.
I might have personally gone one
That's
more
a technical.
point.
That's a technical timeout, actually. I believe so. I think Beaumont was calling it at the same time. If we can confirm, we're on a technical right now. Is that correct? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was 16-12.
Oh, it was already 16-12. I was just testing everyone around me to make sure they were dialed in. We already had that technical timeout at 16, so so you think you would wait one more?
I would have waited one more to see an ace. Okay, that's not really a failure to side out. One block after a not perfect pass. You know, give my team a chance to earn the side out before calling a timeout. If that was his second one, I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think they can pass this ball pretty well. But Burrell's on a nice run here with his serve, so hopefully it was a chance to ice him a little bit too as well.
Yeah, I think that's the main reason behind it. Just regather the guys, see if you can ice him, get a point out of that. And as we talk about the importance of it, Tom Burrell answers back with an overpass, and Bolonzik just flexes on him, lets him know that's a big overpass kill.
Yeah, a little mini run by Burrell right here is really helping them, creating that.
If he's able to find one more point before this run ends, that's going to put Untouchables really close to striking range once again. Kenny now goes back to Seifert. Nice dig. And Burrell swings from left back Nugent for the big touch, and we see the back row middle step close. Tom Burrell ready to hit any ball.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him set yet this game, so he said, this one's mine.
Yeah, great play by Tom Burrell to be ready and step close and jump and hit and put some little, mustard behind that ball and get the point.
Short float, that one's almost gonna go over. Ryan Kenny is doing some of the most insane magic to keep these one-handed overpasses on his side. Also, gotta respect Seifert. He's up every time.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right, Nick. Seifert being available every time, but he knows that Kenny's gonna get that ball and set him a one-handed set. He couldn't go anywhere else to.
Absolutely, so that's the only option. Now the set to the outside, and Raglan goes triple block. Now, something we have not talked about at all, that Team Freedom does exceptionally well. All the fans out there, this is something you're not really able to do at a younger age because it's called screening. Take a look at how they are formed up, a little bit of a flying V. They find who their serving target is, and they screen and stand between the server and their target. What that allows to do, so right there, you can see they're going after Ramos. What that really does is it reduces the amount of time that those in serve receive are able to see the server going after them. It's also very common that the back row players will step in as well, getting 4- and 5-man blocks. So kind of a little interesting thing to keep an eye on.
All part of the chess game, right, Nick?
All part of it. There's a nice 4-4 swing there from Josh Castillo. Freedom answers back with a little bit of confidence and puts a little run together here as they go back to a 3-point lead. And Josh Castillo has been putting a ton of service pressure on so far this match. Great pass there by Raglan. Goes back to the middle, and Bolonzik dug. Free ball coming back. And Raglan gets blocked one-on-one by Ryan Kenny.
Kenny with a strong one-on-one move with a late dive into the angle.
It's huge.
Nicely timed block by Ryan Kenny.
I really wanted to see the setback there to Bolonzik in the middle. It was a huge dig that we saw there from the libero, Glenn Magales.
Look for it on this play if the pass is up to the top of the net.
There's the 180 once again that worked for him earlier this game. Now Nugent taking that angle swing. Cover move made by Lutz and not able to come up with it. Also, I was talking about screening passers there. If you'll notice the adjustment that was made by the Untouchables in serve receive, they actually stepped Ramos back, and Holiday stepped into pass there with the oppo. So good identification there of what's being targeted, and they're changing up that passing scheme.
Yeah, good catch, change it up a little bit, give a different look.
3-point run still being defended, but Ragland is the guy that you want if you're Chicago Untouchable. See if he can hammer a couple balls home. Nugent goes up. Nice pass for Holiday, and there's the dump attempt tried, but Seifert was ready for it. The entire bench of Team Freedom determined to make sure that no one touches that ball as it sails out.
Nice heads-up play by Nugent. I know I made a little fun of him earlier on in the match, but that was a good heads-up play to respect Lopez's offensive-minded setting when he's in the front row.
Seifert now with the float. Great pass, and just not quite able to connect with it there. A little bit tight, and that's where, you know, it's one of those things that when you're that tight to the net, it's still very, very settable, but Lopez, he's got to make sure that his right shoulder on the net doesn't make contact, and that's where you see guys start to kind of change the position of their body, and in doing so, kind of loses track of that one.
I think he also thought that there was going to be some blockers' hands there for him to sort of joust against.
Yeah, throw it through.
Which they weren't there, and he kind of just, you know,
missed it.
Two-handed missed a little bit. So
a lot of opportunities there, but that's where, you know, if in doubt, you want to err 5 feet off, give your guy a little bit of space, so then he doesn't have to make the decision what he's going to do with it like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But he, as we've been talking about through this match, you know, he's an offensively minded setter. He wants to be involved. He scored some points early on, but Freedom's picked up on it now, and they've kind of shut down those last couple of opportunities.
Absolutely, and you know, I'm really excited seeing Untouchables here in the second match, because we know what Freedom can do. We know what kind of hitting repertoire they bring, their offense, their schemes. They are just the epitome of Team Never Say Die.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Joe Norman play today either. You know, he's a 6'11" opposite hitter that could probably make a pretty big impact in this game, but they must be kind of saving him for something and giving Lutz a couple of reps.
Absolutely, and there's Josh Castillo. Doug with a one-handed. Ragland almost comes through with that one.
I almost thought that ball was going to hit Seifert as he was backpedaling up.
And I think another big part of the whole roster management that is worth discussing is teams in certain matchups are trying to find where they can use different players and in what situations. So sometimes, you know, all about testing your limits.
Yep.
Ramos with a big swing. There it is. We've seen him kind of cool off here in the third and fourth set, so good to see him return for that point.
Yeah, he's been a bit of a non-factor, especially in this game. I think that's probably only his first or second kill of set number 4. And they'll need more production out of him quickly if they want to force a 5th set.
Josh with a good pass going backside now, and Lutz takes a big swing down the line. Ragland, who was playing left back defense there, not able to come up with that one.
So now we've got match point for Team Freedom, okay, 24-18. Ryan Kenny going back to serve. Front row sitter for the Untouchables, Burrell, Ramos. Who do you think right now? Quick or outside?
I'm going Burrell, 100%. If I can jam it, if I can force it, I'll take an ace to end the match.
Nicely timed service ace by Kenny for Team Freedom as they pull off that victory, 25-18.
Man, that's a tough. That ending always feels the worst. Just, you feel like you don't even get to play that last point.
Nope.
Well, because you don't get to play the last point.
You don't, technically. But they did play. The whistle was blown, but you don't get a chance to come back and, you know, earn it for yourself. But good serve nonetheless, and a nice match played by there. Congratulations to Team Freedom, pulling out a 4-set victory there.
Absolutely, and you know, that's one of those things, like I said, we're taking the known quantities here. We know what Team Freedom, they took 4th place falling to the Las Vegas Ramblers at their final match in Salt Lake City. But we know that team can scrap, and anyone that you talk to about playing them, the name of the game is you have to go earn every point. When you see plays where Chris Nugent lays out, gets an up, they get a second touch, he gets up, lays out again to put that ball over the net. That just feels like the most iconic way of describing who Team Freedom is. But no better way to sum it up than for Victoria to talk with the player of the match. Victoria, over to you.
Thanks, Nick. Josh, great game out there. Mid-game afternoon, kind of a battle on the court. How did you guys pull it through?
I mean, we just stayed together. We had a game plan. Justin really talked us through the different adjustments we had to make mid-game. They played well game 2, and then we were able to adjust and finish. So
the Untouchables had a dominant middle. How was the adjustment for that?
He's a big boy. I mean, he was hitting some really nice swings. So we were able to get some touches, and from there convert. Weren't able to block him, but with the touches, we slowed him down.
What's the mindset going into tomorrow, playoffs?
Win. We really believe that we have what it takes to win this year, and that's what our mindset is. That's what our goal is, and that's what we're working towards.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That's great to get a little bit of insight. And it's so funny, you know, we're always doing our best to take our volleyball knowledge, take what we know, what we see going on, and project something that might be, you know, valuable for someone at home that's just getting all the information they can here. And
Yeah.
it's so funny to hear and so great to hear that they feel the exact same way over on the side of Team Freedom. We're like, I don't know how you stop a 7-footer.
Yeah.
And so they felt the exact same way, but it was all about those small touches. How can you increase some rallies and just find some digs, like you said, every once in a while. And they were able to do so, in turn, slowing down the Chicago Untouchables.
Yeah, you know, they really negated that second game kind of onslaught that the Untouchables brought into it to when they won that second set. But Team Freedom made a nice adjustment. They brought Matt Seifert in to the middle to go against Balanzik, you know, and so they made their adjustments, counteracted it, and they were able to win that match in 4.
Yeah, and you know, as we head into this next one, we're going to see the second new team, the Dallas Tornadoes, as they take on the Utah Stingers. So this is going to be definitely a little bit of a test, and that was, you know, with the Chicago Untouchables match we just saw. As I said, we don't really know what to expect from the team, so I think we got a really good flavor of what that team's going to be building on over the next couple months here in the first season, their first season in the NVA. And Dallas Tornadoes, we're about to get that second look as well. Definitely want to tune in, pay attention to their pins. Another team that we didn't see a lot of middle action from yesterday, Jesus, words. But, you know, one of the big things here is captain number 69, Steve Roschitz. He's definitely going to be someone that he had a lot of success. He's a guy that's played both indoor and a lot of beach. So he really relies on that. You know, they use him on the outside and the opposite. So we'll have to see how they use him and what that team's able to do.
What time is game time, Nick?
I believe it's going to be at 4:30, if I'm not mistaken. This one was 2, so it's every 2.5 hours. So 4:30, we'll be back here. So definitely don't miss out. Tune back in, and we'll be live there.
Nice
All
job.
right. Thanks, guys.